Andy Cooper from RMS Motoring, and I'm in the Slemish car park with the Ioniq 5 and the toaster hooked up to the vehicle to load, and have some soda, cup of coffee, hard to beat. And camping trips will never be the same again. Ioniq 5, Hyundai's all-new electric platform, all-out EV. This is the Project 45 special edition that I'm in. I don't think you can order them anymore, but this is effectively the dual motor 73 kilowatt hour top of the range car. Does 60 in 5.2 seconds and it has 305 brake horsepower. And as you would imagine, it's pretty quick. But we'll get to that in a second. The first thing you notice about the Ioniq 5 is the crazy looks. It just looks, from the dot matrix style rear light clusters to the sort of 8-bit look to the headlights at the front, that flat nose at the front, the flat black wheels. Just has this sort of neo-future styling from like a Robocop in the 80s. If they said we'll produce a futuristic looking car, this would be it. So it's really cool to look at, I think. And it's big. The photos don't really justify actually how big a car it is. It's about 4.5 meters long, so it's quite long. It's a big wheelbase as well. I think a longer wheelbase than a Range Rover Sport, and it actually looks like it has real presence. You see it parked in someone's driveway, you really notice it. This is a big car, and Hyundai have made great use of that space inside the car as well. This is supremely comfortable. I have so much head height room, so much space around me. Of course, flat floor because it's a skateboard architecture, so you can kick your passenger. It has this brilliant sliding center console. The whole console can slide, including the bins for cup holders and stuff like that. The whole thing slides together. It's just a fantastic use of space, and it makes the car feel very airy, even though, unlike a Tesla, I don't have a panoramic roof or anything like that, but the glass house is great. So it's great to drive, but this is also an immensely practical car. Hyundai have obviously spent a lot of time when designing the car that they could engineer in as many different usage features as possible. So of course you've got an electric tailgate, which is very useful. The vehicle to load that you've seen at the start of the video, so you can plug anything in up to 3.5 kilowatts on a 240 volt plug on the car. So I can make my coffee at the top of Slemish, or in the Slemish car park, as per my earlier clip. But even features like the door handles coming out to greet you, the back bench of the back seats, the whole bench can slide backwards and forwards, and there's plenty of space in there for adults. You probably get 3 adults in. Certainly 2 adults on a long journey would be very comfortable. I had 4 adults in the car last night, and everyone was particularly comfortable. All round heated seats as well. It's a nice touch when it's getting a bit colder. The infotainment system is in this 2-screen setup. It sort of reminds me of, if you've been in any of the latest generation of E-Class Mercedes or something like that, it has this flat piece of tablet with a couple of screens on it. That's very useful, very clear. Huge amounts of functionality and information on how the car is performing. You've Apple CarPlay and Android Auto cabled, not wireless, which fills up one of the screens. Everything is really clear to understand. It's very responsive. Hyundai have done a good job with their user interfaces. I found the same with the i30N and Kona and stuff like that. They just make it simple. Also actually have a separate panel of buttons, so this isn't like a Tesla where they've just taken the button count to the bare minimum. There is enough of an array of features to control some of the obvious things. Now, the driver's seat you have to do through the heated seat, you have to do through the screen, but most of your climate controls and flicking between media sources and the sat nav and all that sort of stuff you can do through this panel in the front. Some of it is like a haptic touch, which is a wee bit of a pain rather than a physical button, but it's generally fine. I've got a heads-up display as well, which is absolutely excellent, and it has augmented reality, so if you have the sat nav on and you have to be in a certain lane in the motorway, it will attempt to put the arrow on the lane on the window, which is pretty cool. The dash does other cool things as well. For example, when you indicate coming around a corner, it will show you one of the many cameras around the car. So if I indicate left, it will show me down the rear quarter of the passenger side of the car, so I can see the curb that I'm just about to come round, and curb a wheel, or if there's anyone in my blind spot, it just highlights that, and as soon as you cancel the indicator, the screen disappears. So something like that is just absolutely fantastic. Even the driver aids. Last night I was parking in Belfast, and when I came out to the car, hopped down off the curb and trying to find a gap in traffic, and there was a car coming, so I couldn't make the gap, but the car warned me on the heads-up display, just put the brakes on. I wasn't going to go anyway, but it was just nice that the car was there, just the right amount, because those systems can be super intrusive. Like, for example, at the moment I have the lane departure warning off, because sometimes if you need to see past something, you need to cross the line for any valid reason, and it would just be chirping away. And here's a prime example: I just need to pass a cyclist. So this car has some other crazy things. For example, it has a one-touch recline option, so the front seats completely can recline almost flat, and they have like an aircraft style front rest that folds out, so you can have it's really like a lazy boy type seating position, maybe if you're relaxing during a charge. But how much does it cost to get into one of these things? Well, retail prices are almost meaningless nowadays, because a lot of these cars won't be bought at retail, they'll be bought on lease or PCP, especially at the moment with the benefit in kind for running a business lease. A lot of cars will be bought through a business or through salary sacrifice or something like that, but it's a yardstick for comparison. So the base car, which is the SE Connect, which has your 58 kilowatt hour battery, your 170 horsepower, rear drive, single motor only, is starting from about £36,000, moving up to the Ultimate, top of the range car with a 73 kilowatt hour battery, 305 horsepower, dual motor, all-wheel drive of course, and that is about 48k. So compare it to the Model 3, which isn't really in the same segment because it's a saloon, but the Model 3 starts in the early 40s, and this starts 5 or 6 grand less than that. Compared to the Model Y, which is only coming in the long range version to start with, it's starting in the mid 50s. So there's quite a difference there. If you want an SUV sized electric car that in terms of competency is right up there with Tesla, in terms of fit and finish, this is much better than a car Tesla would build now. I hear good news about their Shanghai Chinese factory and stuff like that, but Hyundai are really knocking it out of the park. Hyundai are right up there in terms of motor efficiency and battery technology as well. So it really is an alternative to what is the number one thing on people's lips as far as electric cars go now. There is the Ford Mach-E, there's the Kia EV6, is very similarly priced actually to this, because obviously they're based on similar platforms, but they are their own vehicle. I think this is a great car. It's very easy to drive as a daily. Running costs are low. It's very easy to live with. It has some really quirky features that some people might find very useful. And yeah, Hyundai have just done a great job. But it makes me want to get into the competition and see what the Mach-E is like. There's the Q4 e-tron as well. There's quite a number of vehicles coming out in that sort of SUV segment, all electric, and Hyundai have set the bar very high. I can't see why these would not sell like hotcakes, because it is utterly brilliant. If you want to know more about the Ioniq 5, you can look on rmsmotoring.com. There'll be an article about the car, and I'd like to thank Daily Hyundai for providing the car for test today.